welcome back to my kitchen. This is not a meal video. This is an update on Aiden. We are home now. I'm going to give you a bit of the backstory and then we'll let you know what happened. I've got a lot of requests of how is Aiden, what's going on, what happened, why was he rushed in for emergency surgery, and so I'm going to give you the backstory first and then what happened. About a year ago, Aiden wasn't feeling well. I thought he was having an allergic reaction because he was getting like these little dots all over him, and that's how his brother shows when he's allergic to something. He gets it's called petechiae, but they look like somebody pokes you with a pin, and they're little rashes. So I gave him some Benadryl, and I was like, it's not working. So I took him with me for a ride, and as we're driving, Aiden says, Grandma, the dots are getting worse. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, they're on my chest and neck now. He was looking through his phone. So having dealt with a lot of anaphylaxis with Eric, being, he's been in intensive care because of things that he's eaten that he was allergic to. We didn't know. We went through that whole thing from birth. So knowing that if it starts including the neck, you're in a bad area. It's really not good. You can go down really fast. So I happened to be driving by the local hospital here in New Jersey for Children's Hospital. So I just pulled in thinking, all right, we'll get some medication and we'll be home in a couple of hours. Well, that wasn't so. Aiden had bruises on him. I had been babysitting a little kid that was pinching, so I thought that's what the bruises were. So a doctor comes in and says, tell me about the dots, because that's how I described him. And I said, well, I think she says, no, doesn't let me finish. Tell me about those bruises. Well, I was babysitting, he said no. So I started thinking this man was thinking I was hurting him. And you would have to be a monster to hurt Aiden. Aiden has not met anybody who has not walked away in love with him. He is the sweetest thing. I'm telling you, he is touched by the angels. If you believe in that, if you don't, he's just the sweetest thing God ever created. So anyway, I started thinking they thought I was hurting him. And I said, well, if not, then what? Because I was insulted. And then he told me. He told me that the normal platelet count in your blood is supposed to be up in the 400,000s. Aiden was a 7. He was at risk of hemorrhaging from his eyes, his ears, his rectum, his nose to death. He was at risk of his brain just spontaneously starting to bleed. We were rushed into Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They almost had to put him in a helicopter, but they got the ambulance there quick enough. Within 24 hours, Aiden was on life support. So had I not taken him to the doctor, we could have lost him, but we didn't. So now Aiden has been in remission. He's on a lot of, he has a rare immune, 3 very rare immune, autoimmune disease. That's the word. So he has something called ITP, very big word, I'll put it here. He has Evans syndrome and ALPS, ALPS. So Aiden is on some immune suppressing medications because his body is attacking his body. So fast forward, he's been doing very, very well. He started complaining about an ear infection or an ear hurting, and he's been swimming. So I took him to the doctor and thought that he was having swimmer's ear. So that's exactly what they said. Well, it's swimmer's ear. Okay, so they gave me some ear drops. We went home, gave a little bit, didn't clear up. As a matter of fact, it kept getting worse. I kept calling the doctor saying, hey, this isn't working. Maybe we should do an oral. No. So mommy doesn't know her kid, right? So I kept going back to the doctors. Over the next almost 3 weeks, I went to 5 different doctors trying to get him help with the ear. Outer ear infection, inner ear infection. Oh, you got to give it time. He's on immune suppressing medications, but his ear is swelling. Back here is swelling. So I knew there was something wrong. I just didn't know what. I'm not a doctor, right? So finally the doctor's like, give it time. I'm like, forget it. I'm going back to Children's Hospital here in New Jersey. I don't trust none of y'all. None of yous I don't trust, because this boy is clearly in pain. He's suffering. He's swelling. His head doesn't swell from an ear infection, right? So I take him to CHOP. When I tell you, we walked in there, I sat down, I picked out my phone, and I started to scroll. I never even got to scroll. They took us back. Aiden sat on the bed. I put my stuff down, and I'm still putting it down. The doctor walks in, and this is how fast it happened. He walks in and says, oh, so I hear we're having problems with your ear. And I said, yeah, they were, and as I'm saying this, he's walking over to Aiden, takes his ear, and just flips it forward. And I said, they were, and he said, oh, this is an emergent admission. He needs surgery. What? Is what I did. And then I scared Aiden, because I was not expecting that he needed surgery. I thought maybe he needed IV antibiotics or something. I did not think it was that bad. I didn't know. So here we are again. We're in an emergency situation. We're at Children's Hospital in New Jersey. We got to go to Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. We have to wait for the ambulance to come get us. So this is now, we got there at 1 o'clock. We're at 3:30 in the morning. The ambulance finally gets there. We're en route. We get to the hospital, we get settled in, it's 5:30, we've had no sleep. I'm falling over, like tipping over because I'm so tired. The doctors are coming in, they're throwing all these words at me, they're this and that and this and that. And I said, he says he has to have surgery in an hour. It's 5:30 in the morning, right? We've had no sleep. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about IV medication? What about this? What about that? And this is what I got. They showed me on the little tablet thing, the CT scan they did of his head with contrast. The infection wasn't in his ear anymore. It was in his skull, in the mass. There's a bone right behind your ear right here. And if I can, I'll put, not a graphic pictures. I will not do that. I'll put a picture up here. It looks like a honeycomb. So the infection had gone from his ear into this honeycomb thing. And I forgot to tell you, during that time, Aiden was saying that his neck was really stiff and he felt a bump inside his head. I didn't feel the bump, and he said it was there. These doctors should have known. I'm furious at them. But anyway, so there's this thing that looks like a honeycomb. It's right back here. The infection got into that. So they had it. There was only way they could do was surgically remove it. And if we didn't, he was very close becoming sepsis, and it can get into his brain, and that is fatal. So we were in a very bad, again, had I not trusted my own judgment, guys, trust your mommy, daddy, whatever you are, instinct. If your child is telling you and you can see it, you don't listen to doctors, you keep pushing because you are their advocate. So they get in there, so they got to take his ear, cut it from the whole ear, and they push it forward. They get in there, they tried to clear out all of the infection, but they couldn't. They had to scrape away the bone on the outside of the skull. They had to go inside of the skull, scrape away in there, clean out all the honeycombs. While they were in there, they found that not only was there all this infection in there, but it started some kind of a cyst or a mass or something. They called it a tissue one. And they could not get all of that out. They did the best they could. They also were supposed to put tubes in his ear so he would not get another ear infection, but the doctors had let it go so far, they couldn't even see his eardrum. And this is a doctor's that looked at it. You can't even see his eardrum, and they're giving me drops, right? So the outcome is good. Aiden is well. He's doing really, really good. And this kid worried not about himself. All he worried about was me. He was worried that I was going to be upset. He was worried that I wasn't eating enough. He just wanted to make sure that I was okay. This is the kind of kid I'm talking about. Any other kid would have been laying there moaning and crying, not Aiden. He wanted to make sure Jima was okay. And so the bad news is it's not over. Because they couldn't get it all out, he has more surgeries in his future. So he may get some, and he lost his hearing. He may get some of that hearing back. Now, mind you, he already had a hearing deficit in that ear to begin with. Doesn't need a hearing aid yet, but sometimes the teacher in the classroom will wear a mic and he puts some headphones on so that he could hear her. He might get back to that, but that's not certain either. So we're going to, he's on a course of antibiotics now that he cannot stop taking until we go back September to further recheck, and then he's going to go back in for the tubes in his ears, which is not a big surgery, it's very easy, and he's also going to have that same surgery again. This time it may not be as much, like scraping the bone away, inside, outside, all of that. They might be able to go in because they need a lot of the swelling to go down, and then here was swollen. He had a big swollen bump back there. Gets all that down, they may be able to get in there. It's kind of like leaving, the way I could describe it, and this is because I do food, it's like having a piece of moldy bread in there, in the loaf. And you're like, I'll grab the one at the back, or I'll just pick this piece off, but you know the mold spores are still in there even though you can't see it, and you just let it go, I took that piece out, it's fine, right? But then what happens? The rest of the bread starts going moldy after that, and that's what's gonna happen. They left a piece of it in there, so it is gonna grow. We're hoping to kill it off with the antibiotics that he's on, but he is immune compromised. So it kind of ups the ante for him about, you know, how this thing can go badly. But Aiden's doing well, we're at home, and I want to thank every last one of you for the well wishes that we received. They touched our heart, they touched Aiden. I just am so grateful for all of you, every last one of you. Even if you didn't comment, I know that people were looking at the video, I know it, and I really do appreciate you guys. So, I'm gonna get into the video what happened after we left. I'm gonna go edit that because I already just did the, oh, I don't know if I told you. On the way home, I got a call from the kids. What's for dinner, Grandma? Well, I've been gone for over a week, right? I don't know what's in the house. I don't know what they ate. I don't know what's going on. So in the next video that I'm gonna put up, you'll see what I did to figure out. And Frugal Tina rose to the occasion. I spent $9.95, but that video is after this one. So that's all I got to say. Let's get it, let's go. Let's get back to our life. Come on.